Brodes Media.
I'm not the guy to just call for the head coach after every single loss because sometimes it's more than just that. And even tonight, I feel it's more than just that because even though there was a bit of disjointness going on during that Joel Embiid late possession, he had an open look that I need him to hit. James Harden up at the top of the three-point line. He had a magnificent night all around. He looked more in control and felt a lot fluid in his game, driving, getting the foul calls that he was looking for. And that was one of the best performances we've seen out of Harden, which is coming off of a bad one in Phoenix, but an electric one against the Clippers. So it's been nice 2 out of the last 3 games. But if I see him at the end with an opportunity to drill a 3 with the big up there and he hits nothing but the backboard, I'm disappointed with those 2 with the late game possessions as well on top of Doc. Look, you're not in that position as a whole. To get back to my point, which is I really can't stand what Doc did in this game to try and get some Maxey and Harris minutes. Now, apparently, I didn't hear this live or hear this throughout any sort of media conference, but before the game, Kyle Neubeck put out there that, or was it Rich Hoffman? It was one of the two. And they referenced that Doc Rivers before the game mentioned how this isn't that huge of a matchup. It's just another one. Didn't put too much of a stress or a talking point on this. And I know that he has discussed experience down the stretch on working on some things. And I wonder, and I'm not falling for it, I'm just throwing it out there because I've seen the track record of Doc Rivers to this point. I'm not surprised that it happened. It's asinine and it's a fireable offense, but I'm not surprised because this is sort of what Doc Rivers likes to do. He believes in this concept. I just wonder, though, is it possible that he now recognizes that this is no bueno, and maybe he looks in the mirror and recognizes that this was a painful situation. This was a game-changing situation that bled into the fourth quarter when you took both of your guys out. And he did it earlier, too. The difference was he actually had Niang out there in the early stages, realized that that was quick trigger because Niang wasn't doing well at that point. And then you had to throw Tobias out there, and they wanted to get some Tobias Maxey minutes. But is that something where they're just trying to learn to see if it can work? And this was the growing pains of realizing, we can't live and die by this. This is not something we can utilize. And once again, I'm not going to fall into it and believe that's the case. I'm just pointing it out there, knowing that Doc Rivers isn't utilizing this matchup with the magnifying glass to learn any more about his team when they are out there together. He's trying to figure out certain things that he can or cannot run in the postseason. I'm not believing it. This is me trying to convince myself that it's possible, even though for the 1,000th time, let me make sure it's documented that I don't believe it. I thought Doc Rivers was bad, but I also thought the execution late just from the team, well, maybe it wasn't the most perfect play drawn up when Embiid got that shot, and you got to give credit to the Bucks. And, the Bucks are a difficult task. The Bucks are a team at the top of the Eastern Conference, and these two squads, look, think about it before the All-Star break. You had two teams battling, and the Sixers annihilated them. Tonight, Giannis makes an excellent play blocking Joel Embiid. That was an incredible block. He drops 40 points. I can't stand watching Paul Millsap do damage. And here's what I'm not going to get sucked into either, though, because the discussion after the game was Doc Rivers mentioned that he almost went to Paul Reed. Realistically, going to Paul Reed or not going to Paul Reed, my issue is not having Harden and Embiid on the floor, one of the two on the floor at the same time. There should never be a circumstance, now that we understand, especially with how things were playing, which was early action, and B couldn't find a bucket to save his life. Couldn't even get to the charity stripe. James Harden took over, but then Embiid started to gather some rhythm, some pick and pop action, able to get wide open looks consistently at the free throw line for a J. He was even hitting a 3 and getting a steal at the same time. It was just unfortunate that Harden jacked up one of of his step-back threes at that moment, which I thought Embiid was kind of, feeling himself and getting that hot meter, sort of like in the NBA 2K. He was cashing in. Maybe you just kind of rock through Embiid at that time. But my point is, you saw the difference in what was going on early when you were down double digits, 4 turnovers, Embiid not making his shots. And then you see the difference. You're up double digits, Harden's balling out, and Embiid is doing his thing. So in what universe would it resonate in your brain to take both of them off the floor at the same time? Now, Tobias did play well. I'm not anti the way Tobias Harris played tonight. There were some late moments that bothered me. He had a foul on the defensive end, which was unacceptable. Missing a 3, late on some defensive rotation. So there was a few things late that I hated by Tobias, but there's still a lot of positives. And even through the loss, and I get it, you need to focus on late game execution, and that goes on the coach for not even putting your team in a position to have to execute that way late, for putting in a lineup with no Embiid and no Harden. But you got to execute late if you're the coach and help draw up some things that can work. At the same time, I need more out of Harden and Embiid in those moments. They got you there, and without them playing the way that they did, you're not even in that position to begin with. But we talk about a Giannis shot or block shot. We talk about some of the things that the Milwaukee Bucks did late. You're not talking about what the Sixers did. Embiid can hit that shot. Is it the best shot ever in the history of the world? No. But good teams are going to make you get into a different position than you would maybe like to be, but you still have a grade A scoring chance if you're Embiid in that moment. I'm not here to rip apart these two and make it seem like they're major issues. My point is, at the end of the day, these are now two tough opponents at the top of the NBA, and your Sixers are going toe-to-toe with them. But the difference right now is during the late stretches and fourth quarter, under 2 minutes to go, 3 minutes to go, the Suns and the Bucks exploited, and the Philadelphia 76ers brick and then the backboard. That has to change if you're going to have any sort of success. That needs to be different. But I'm going to be asking myself questions to kind of keep myself in line to discuss certain topics that I want to throughout the game. So I'll start with this. What is Doc doing? And Brodes, please discuss the late action. I don't know. I don't know why he feels it's necessary to do this. We have enough information. And Tobias Harris did play a better brand of basketball. Not something that I'm trying to commit to fully and take everybody else off the floor. It wasn't Maxi's best night. As you look at Maxi in the box score and what he provided for you on the floor, 3 of 11 from the field in 40 minutes of run, 7 points and 6 assists. He shot 1 of 4 from deep. Not Tyrese Maxi's strongest effort, and it's not as if he gave you 22, 24, 26, and then you can at least say, well, look at what he was doing out there. He was in control. There were a few takes, right, to the basket early on. He's flying with his speed. I thought Harden had a magnificent pass to a Matisse Thybulle that was basically getting behind everyone like he was a deep threat wide receiver. And here's Jalen Hurts, a.k.a. James Harden, with a beautiful pass over the top. And I get bothered by these type of Matisse Thybulle moments because he limits you 20-something minutes. We talk about the defense. Well, his limitations is hurting this basketball team because he can't improve in that area, and you see how that hurts you. Now, you add spacing with Danny Green, who was capable of drilling shots. George Niang was terrible, and then at one point he woke up and he became that electrifying piece that you need, and he did provide something for you late that you definitely needed. Without him, you're not even in those possessions where we're upset with the 2 stars for their lack of hitting the net. But all around, when you think about Doc Rivers, as the point of this is to try and stay on topic, and I already somehow got bothered about a Matisse Thybulle and breaking down a Danny Green, but that matters. I'm talking about the rotation and how Doc Rivers has to go about things. So, Brodes, don't shoot yourself down here. Don't act like you're not doing a great job by staying on task here with the questions, please. You're excellent at what you do. Stop it. I can't handle that. I'm blushing. With Doc Rivers, it was never about, is he going to shoot the team in the foot? Because the answer to that is a no-brainer, yes. That's always going to be the problem. But the question was really, do you have the superstar talent to make up for when Doc Rivers does do it, right? So let's lay this out. And this isn't the first time I've done this, but their transition D is poor. Their defense at times in general is very poor. They don't have a lot out by the perimeter. Also, you factor in that their rebounds can cause them issues. This is just the storylines surrounding who they are. Doc Rivers stinks, and Doc Rivers is overrated. But if James Harden or Joel Embiid hit their shots late, is that now overcoming your issues with the head coach? And the answer is yes. I'm not putting all the blame on the players. I think if there's a pie chart, you can definitely separate it between Doc Rivers with a certain percentage. I'd say, I'll give Doc Rivers 50% of the blame tonight. And that's a lot for me. That's giving him a lot of blame because normally the coach is in a smaller department for me, way more on the players making or missing. But today, that third quarter bleeding into the fourth quarter, everyone knew. We were all staring, watching the game going, that was it. There's too much adversity to overcome. In what universe did your brain think that was going to generate enough success? It's actually stupid. It's actually dumb. It's an inevitable response. It's an inevitable result that we already knew. If you told me to bet $1 billion on what was going to happen when you throw out Paul Millsap and you take your best two weapons off the floor, I would have made $8 billion because I would have seen it happen. That's so Raven. It's the future I can see right there. That's it. That's it. I'm Raven. I would have saw it. The vision. Come on now. Come on, Doc. Damn. Did I just go, that's so Raven? Jesus. I don't know what that was. Hell of a show. Might have to go to Disney Plus after this. Check out some Even Stevens. Do a little Proud Family. Little Kim Impossible. I don't know. That was my childhood, damn it. All right, let's move to another question. Be honest. Did you expect Joel Embiid's run after the start? Absolutely not. Now, you see the difference when Ibaka is out there compared to Brook Lopez and some pick and pop action that was ran. I thought maybe we would be chalking it up. And sometimes I think about the future of the game and the storylines and what can actually happen. And part of me wondered, all right, am I going to be noting down on my notepad that it's one of those nights for Joel where he gives you 37 against the Suns. You're coming back from a West Coast swing to the East Coast back home. An emotional game on Tuesday night. The Wells Fargo Center is going to be packed, but, you go out west. You fly back. Your body's getting readjusted. Just played some tough basketball. And if you look at his game log as well, just to look some things up here on what some of the latest games have been for Joel Embiid. And speaking of Embiid, that nonsense that we're sitting through right now of the analytics being driven to say, it's sad. It really is unfortunate for Embiid because normally I don't care at all about these accolades, but just like Bryce Harper last year, if he didn't win it, he was getting robbed. And Jokic this year, based off of somehow numbers and Raptor and whatever the hell nonsense analytics you want to throw your way, Joel Embiid will be robbed this season. It just seems inevitable at this point. But he had 29 tonight. It didn't look that it was going to be that way early on. 37, 27, 30, 32, 35, 34, 35. He had a 43 thrown in there. So he's been dropping a lot of points for you. All right, maybe we're just going to have an Embiid night that is a softer effort. Just can't find the rim. The ball is rolling around a little bit. Seems to be halfway down and then somehow flies back up as if somebody's holding a leaf blower underneath. And maybe it would be. So maybe just be one of those nights he didn't have it. That's what I was expecting as I saw it kind of continue. But at the same time, you know how this league works. And you know how this game works. George Niang is the perfect example. We just saw him today go through that same exact experience. This is how it goes. You're going to go through an ugly one quarter. You're going to go through an ugly 4 games in a row. You're going to go through maybe an ugly week. You're going to go through an ugly 2 quarters and then respond in the third and fourth because you feel your touch. You get fouled. Maybe you go to the line, you knock a few in, and then you see the ball go through the hoop. Your next shot's a wide open J. Nothing but the back of the ironing in, and then bada bing, bada boom, you get yourself a double-digit quarter. That type of stuff happens all the time. So I'm not surprised that he did it. We're talking about a guy who's about to get robbed of the MVP. So obviously it's in his blood and it's in his bones, but I did not anticipate him to have that second quarter spurt and that life that he did where it was bucket, 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 getting to that free throw line, hitting that smooth jumper in rhythm, getting the steal, hitting the three. And then from there, he definitely did his thing. He had the spin. How about the spin to the rack? He had the one play where it started out as a double team. Then it became a triple team. As he's on the low block, he faces up, he drives baseline, and then he gets right next to the rim, puts it up, gets fouled. I don't know how he finished through all that contact. It was pretty miraculous, but that's what Joel Embiid has done basically to this point. Joel and Harden, as the two, need to find ways to be sharper down the stretch, though.